So I've had the opportunity to work with thousands and thousands of players on their serve technique, from top-level professionals down to the entry-level player. I've seen so much variety in serve technique and styles. I think to myself, it must be difficult if you're trying to find a role model to build your serve around. Well, we're going to sort through all those variations and come up with logical reasons for why the Serve Doctor method incorporates a very specific path to building maximum MPH in your serve. We have a three-stage process that we're going to take you through that will help you build this into habit. So hopefully you'll have a clear-cut understanding of exactly the path you need to take to get to your goals. Let's get started. When I get a new player, I have a 12-point diagnostic checklist that I go through to make sure all the fundamental components are in place. I want to share those 12 points with you now. First area I always look at first is the grip. I want to see how they hold on to the racket. Is it down into the palm of the hand with the butt of the racket? Are they up a little high? Are they in a full continental grip? Or a little towards that forehand, or way towards the forehand? These things are going to tell me not only whether this player is going to be able to pronate effectively, but it'll also indicate whether they're at high risk of injury. The second thing I'm going to look at is their starting stance. Some players start very, very sideways, parallel to the baseline. Some players face square to the net. Some players are halfway in between. The third point I'm looking for is I want to see how they start. What kind of look are they presenting to their opponent? The next point I'm looking for is the toss. How do they hold on to the ball? Is it deep in the palm of their hand? Are they holding it in their fingers? Is there a lot of spin on the ball? Does their arm look extended, or does it want to break at the elbow? I want to see the extent of the toss action. The next thing I'm looking at is I want to see the take back. Another area where there's a lot of variations. Some players sweep it down like a pendulum and then it comes up into position here. Some come over the top like Roddick and go this way to get to that position. Some have other abbreviated takebacks. Point number 6, I'm looking at the set to launch position. That's the end of the first phase of the serve setup. It's the point right before you start up to the ball. Set to launch gets us into a position here where we should be very balanced, and that's what I'm looking for first in the set to launch. I look at the feet. Some players keep the feet separated the whole way through. Some bring that foot up. Some bring it up halfway. Point number 7 is another quality of the set to launch position. I want to see how the upper body's positioned for the attack up to contact. I want to look at the shoulder line, see how the chest is angled. Point number 8, hip position. The hip position a lot of times is determined by the stance. If players are very sideways, they tend to want to go in this way and crouch into the legs to get the hip the furthest point out in the court. Other players slide down their toes, whether they're facing this way or this way. The 9th point on the checklist, I want to see whether the throwing mechanics are really set properly for creating maximum power. The next point we're looking at starts the launch to contact. I want to see what the hips are doing. I want to see how the upper body mechanics are working, and that's going to tell me a lot about how much power we're going to be able to create. Point number 11, what are we seeing going into contact? Is there pronation? Point number 12, where are you winding up on the finish? Inside the baseline, behind the baseline, what should we see? We're going to show you exactly what we want to see. So those are the primary 12 components that I evaluate when I work with a player for the first time. So those are the primary 12 components that I evaluate when I work with a player for the first time.